Okay, we're live. Good morning, everybody. Recognizing a quorum, I am calling this meeting of the Cannabis Control Commission to order at 10 a.m. on June 4th, 2020. Let me mention that this meeting is being recorded. For all of those listening in, my best wishes for the health and safety of you and your families. I'd like to thank our Chief of Staff, Erica Chabelli, who is actually also our Master of Ceremonies for organizing this online meeting. Thank you for that. And to all the staff that worked extraordinarily hard in putting together the materials for this meeting, I want to express my thanks to them as well. Could we go to the agenda slide, please? Thank you. Couple of notes on the agenda. First of all, as I'm sure you've all noticed, it's a very long agenda. We have a very large number of licenses to review and vote on. Again, my thanks to the staff. I really do appreciate the amount of work that goes into preparing for this. So thank you for that, but it's going to be a very long meeting as a result. My guess is at least 4 hours. We will take a few breaks along the way, including a longer break for lunch when we get to an appropriate break point somewhere in the 12 to 12:30 range. I do want to mention one addition to the agenda under the new business that the chair did not anticipate at the time of posting. There is an additional agenda item. It will be done in executive session. It is not on the agenda because it is a developing situation. We will do this executive session at the end of the meeting and adjourn directly from the executive session. We will not return to open session. When we get into the licensing section, I'll talk about the protocol for doing this online, but right now, I think we should just get started given the amount of material on the agenda, unless there are any comments from my fellow commissioners before we get started. Okay, then let's start with minutes. We have one set of minutes from our previous meeting on May 7th, 2020. Can I ask the commissioners, have you had a chance to review the minutes, and do you have any questions or comments or suggested changes to the minutes? Okay. Then can I ask Commissioner Title, would you make a motion to approve the minutes from May 7th?
So moved.
Commissioner McBride, would you second?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Title, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Flanagan?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman? Aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the minutes from May 7th, 2020. My thanks to Christopher Smith for putting them together. Mr. Executive Director, are you ready to do your report? I know we got a few additional items on it, but are you set to go?
I am.
Please take over then.
Okay, so the Executive Director's report, typically we would post the data slides here. I think now we have some highlights from that data set. The full set will be available in the meeting materials. So looking ahead to the next slide, I guess. There are currently 26 applications that were awaiting their first review. This is down from last month, but also I think demonstrates and continues to demonstrate the progress we've made in that queue. There are 58 applications that have a staff recommendation are now awaiting the commission's consideration today. That is a new record high as far as the consideration for the commission, so we continue to have pretty strong momentum there. And there are currently 89 applications that are awaiting a third-party response. Again, that third-party response is the city or town municipal certification or the CSI background check. So again, this is a highlight of some of that data that I think demonstrates the work we've done despite the fact we're remote and working from home.
So if I recall, Mr. Executive Director, when you did your report on progress versus goals for the year, you gave yourself and the staff 75% on reducing the queue to less than 6 months. Do you think it's time to raise that to 100%?
I would, yes and no. I think I would be very pleased to deem that accomplished, although I think we have to acknowledge that we now have a new application type that we just launched last week successfully, and that's going to create at least a new influx of applications. So I would say it's always a work in progress, but I'm absolutely pleased with our progress to date.
As am I. Thank you very much to you and all the staff that were involved in making that substantial progress. I think it's really great and really important. So thank you.
Okay, the next slide. So this discussion here is on the product catalog. I know in meetings past, there's been a lot of discussion relative to developing a product catalog and using the data that's in different data sets that we have, including metric or the open data platform, as well as our licensing portal. That product catalog is something we've now looked at pivoting over to metric. We've actually created fields within metric for licensees, specifically product manufacturers, to upload photos and product descriptions. This information is optional currently for the licensee, for them to assist us in developing this product catalog. I know Commissioner McBride has championed and asked for. We've been working sort of in the background to develop this. We do anticipate that some of these fields could at some point become a requirement within metric, but as I mentioned, they are currently they're optional for folks to input. Those fields that I referenced, this email went out to licensees on May 22nd as being optional, are the THC and CBD potency, the serving size of the product, all of the ingredients in that product, any common allergens in that product, and a broad description which includes the brand name, the color, the shape, the size, and other unique identifiable characteristics, which might include logos or imprints. Where this information, I think, could have been useful to us in the past, and certainly will be useful going forward, or helpful at least, is the example I would use is the recent vape testing process we just underwent for vape cartridges and products. We did not have the ability to search any database whatsoever of all ingredients that were included, and specifically we didn't have the ability to search for vitamin E acetate. As a result, we had to conduct a pretty sizable random sampling. This wouldn't replace the need to do that sampling and testing, but it would have given us at least the information to pull from a lot more quickly, but also probably reduce the volume of testing that would have been required. So the product catalog, again, is something we're continuing to develop. I know Commissioner McBride, again, has some thoughts as well around where the catalog itself would be useful. What I've just highlighted for you is how we would use it internally in our own practices. But the feature is available in metric. It's voluntary right now, but obviously what I'm I think highlighting and teasing is that it could absolutely become a required feature.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Executive Director. Ms. Commissioner McBride, do you have a comment?
Just a short one. So I think that we do anticipate that this will become part of our regulations and be a regulatory requirement going forward. And the other thing that I want to say is I'm really impressed with the work that has gone into this on the part of our staff. This has been developed over a long period of time. As the executive director just said, we've been working on it, conceptualizing it, and then really putting pen to paper and working with metric to get it up and running. Sorry.
Whoever wants to put them, the joys of virtual meetings.
It's my 7-year-old, sorry. But I want to say thank you to the staff members that worked on this, particularly Alyssa Stack, Dave McKenna, Chantel Porter, Catherine Binkowski, Phil Bebo, and Yao Gibi, and obviously the executive director as well. A lot of work has gone into kind of putting this together. Rolling it out, I think, is going to be done in phases. But I think that there's a lot that's going to be included in this catalog that is going to be helpful to a lot of different audiences. Certainly the idea of trying to identify and enable the identification of counterfeit products versus regulated product is going to be significant, I think, for researchers that are trying to develop research and identify what might be available to help with their research. I think that's going to be important for healthcare professionals, for doctors who are helping patients, registered patients, to know what the universe is that might be out there in terms of products, and be able to really talk through that information with patients is going to be really important. I mean, there's a host of ways that this information is going to, I think, be useful. So I'm really excited about the fact that this is going to be coming online shortly. So thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner McBride. Any other comments from the other commissioners? Okay, back to you, Mr. Executive Director.
Okay, so next up, I think, was the pediatric patient application. Just waiting for the slide here.
Have we lost our Master of Ceremonies?
There's no slide for this one.
So I'll touch on it briefly. At the last meeting, I highlighted the transition to our patient portal, our new patient portal, as one of our, is in the context of the goals that were established for me and our progress toward them. What I indicated at that point was that we would be launching the pediatric application in the month of June. That is still the case. I think the date that I offered was June 11th. It's now looking more like the week of June 15th, but certainly before the next commission meeting in July. So I just wanted to touch on it briefly. So as I mentioned, we did roll out that new patient portal for clinicians, registered qualifying patients, caregivers, etc. That has been a success, as evidenced by our reduction in the backlog and as well as the wait times on phones. We absolutely continue to get calls. That patient support center is busy. Kathy Oliver Jones, who heads that up for us, is really leading, I think, a monumental effort to be responsive and troubleshoot issues, including password issues and account claiming. But we're now really able to directly assist with a lot of that work. One of the applications that was not brought into that environment, though, was the pediatric patient application. That does require 2 providers to make the recommendation, one of whom must be a board certified pediatrician or pediatric subspecialist. That application has always been paper-based, and it still is today. We actually continue to receive applications. There's not a large volume, but they're important for a lot of reasons. One, it's parents trying to assist their children with medicine, but that child must have a debilitating medical condition that is also a life-limiting illness. So it's really a time-sensitive process to get that squared away. So I think this application is something we want to bring into the portal for a lot of reasons, but first and foremost is the efficiency of that process and the accessibility of medicine for children with their parents as their caregivers. So that is something, again, as indicated, we plan to launch on the week of June 15th, but it's certainly before our next meeting in July. So if there's any questions on that, I'm happy to field them.
Any questions for the Executive Director? Okay, then keep going, please, Mr. Executive Director.
So the next item on the agenda for my report was the return to the office. To highlight quickly on that topic, it's an ongoing conversation, one that I think a lot of agencies and employers are having. We do not have a set date to return to our offices, and there is no formal plan at this point that would facilitate that transition back. But I can at least highlight some of the work we've been doing to date. We are certainly considering the configuration of both of our offices. It's important to recall that we maintain offices both in Worcester and Boston, both of which were uniquely hit by the COVID crisis, ensuring that we're able to safely reconfigure if and where necessary. One of the most important aspects of any transition back to the office is our employees, and understanding that work is not just their primary concern right now. So we'll want to make sure that we factor in, for instance, the availability of childcare into our decision making there. We also want to talk to our employees about their readiness to return to the office, including the consideration of staff that work in the field and assess their comfort level and our ability to provide them with any necessary equipment that might be required. So I think that hopefully sums up that we're taking a pretty cautious approach to this for a lot of reasons. First, it does deserve a pretty thoughtful approach. But secondly, we are fully functioning. As you can see from the license recommendation volume today, the agency is actually humming right along and continuing to be productive. In fact, we've even hired and onboarded staff over the past few months, and so we're adding to our ranks and continuing to be productive. We will continue to plan for this eventuality, and we'll continue to ensure that it's a conversation, though, that occurs with our employees.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate the caution. I think it's appropriate, and I do agree that we're functioning as or more efficiently than we have in the past. So I think caution is the appropriate, and employee engagement is the absolute appropriate way to proceed. Any questions for the Executive Director or comments on this topic? Okay, keep going, please, Mr. Executive Director.
So the next item that I have, I just want to touch on quickly, was the reopening of establishments over the past few weeks. As you know, we issued a final cease and desist order and an amended administrative order outlining the compliant curbside operations. Currently, all of our adult use retailers have submitted their SOPs for curbside operations. They are all, as far as to my knowledge, on offering it. They've all, again, as I've indicated, they've all submitted their SOPs. This modified order for curbside operations set parameters around how they may conduct their operations. It includes, among other things, that licensees should encourage ordering ahead, mobile ordering, and electronic payments where possible. If it has to be by cash, we've asked that that be done at the brick and mortar entrance and should include their exact change. We require agents at the facility to identify the patient or the age of the consumer. And if the transaction occurs using a vehicle or in the vehicle, that the occupants of the vehicle also be 21 or older, and that the transactions are recorded similar to those transactions that would occur within the retail store. We do require that the licensees submit their SOPs to us for curbside, as well as to the municipality within which it's going to occur, at least 48 hours in advance. In developing those SOPs to take into account things like blocking other businesses or public ways, public or private property, or obviously considering any traffic implications that may come along with that. And I think you can just look at some of the scenes from that initial day that indicate our concerns were well founded, but by and large, it seems to have been a relatively smooth reopening of the industry, and things seem to be up and running.
So, Mr. Executive Director, I know it's only been a relatively short period of time. Do we have any sense of kind of the volume since the stores have reopened for curbside only, and how that compares to before the governor's executive order?
Yeah, and this is preliminary, so I guess bear with me on it. But if you look at the average week or so of this calendar year, so starting in January, that average weekly sales, I would say pre-shutdown, was about 13.2 million. The week of May 24th through the end of last week was 12.1 million. So not a large drop off at all. I think, again, the caveat I would offer is that we are averaging the weeks. The week of, I think it was March 15th or so, was about 15.5 million. So it's averaging out.
And you mentioned also, thank you for that, and that is, I think that's good news. You mentioned that we have gotten SOPs from all of the licensed adult use retailers. Do you know how many of them have actually opened their stores up for curbside, or is that information not available yet?
To my knowledge, it's every retail store. So I think it would be 45 in total at this point.
Again, that's great news. Comments or questions for the Executive Director on this? Okay, keep going, please, then, Mr. Executive Director.
So the last item I would offer is a job description. As I indicated, we are continuing to hire and onboard staff. During this time, we've onboarded a handful of folks and been able to successfully do it. I'm sure we all look forward to meeting them in person at some point when we're able to, but we would like to continue that trend. The job description I would offer for your consideration today is the title of a data manager. This would fall within our technology department. David McKenna, our Chief Technology Officer, continues to build out his team, but as you can probably see from a lot of our operations and a lot of the projects we've undertaken, data is at the forefront of a lot of what we do. We want to learn from it, we want to understand it, and we want to be able to spread it across the entire agency, which is why we're recommending that it sit within our technology department, knowing that we want to use data in our investigations and enforcement unit, our licensing platform, our research. So we really want to be able to leverage it. And again, knowing that our Chief Technology Officer really builds enterprise-wide solutions for us, we think it most appropriately sits there. So the data manager would be responsible for data analysis, as well as managing, manipulating, analyzing, and modeling data to support our research agenda, licensing, and compliance decisions across the agency. And what we've also folded into this as well is a lot of the work around energy, particularly the work that Commissioner Doyle had done prior to her departure was trying to capture as much information as possible. So this is really going to be, I think, an early task for this position. And so you'll see that's why there's some specific call outs in this description for energy. And it's really to maintain that as a legacy project, knowing that the Commonwealth at this point is at the forefront of these conversations. So, but again, knowing that we have metric data, licensing platform, and we want to be able to use all that information in a smart, effective way, this role is going to be really crucial for that. To date, David McKenna has been our de facto data manager, and I think he could certainly use the help and support here.
Thank you. Are there questions for the Executive Director on this job description?
Yes.
I'm sorry, is that Commissioner Title?
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead, Commissioner Title.
Thank you. Just one question. To the extent that we are mentioning specific topics that this person might work on, I wanted to raise for your consideration that we have collected a large volume of data from equity program participants with the intent that we would be able to follow them and their outcomes and perhaps observe trends. And similarly, the goals, program, and measurement from the positive impact plans, we've been collecting that so that we could determine what the collective impact of those plans has been. So I just wanted to raise that for your consideration in case that might be good for this person as well.
I think that's something we can absolutely incorporate. Again, I think the intention for this role is to be an agency-wide asset that we can deploy in all of our data collection. So I think that's certainly right for this.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Executive Director, would you like a motion to approve this job description?
Yes, please.
Okay, Commissioner Title, since you're on screen, would you mind making such a motion?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please, from Commissioner Title, Flanagan, excuse me?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman? Aye. Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the job description. What is your timing with respect to posting and filling, Mr. Executive Director?
We are currently working our way through a number of now closed postings. So I think we could, at this point, we do not have any positions that have been posted. The Director of Investigations closed just yesterday. So we'd like to package this up and I think post it as soon as possible, probably within the next week and a half, 2 weeks.
Okay, great, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Executive Director, in your report?
No, not at this time.
Before we move on to the next agenda item, are there any other questions for the Executive Director from other commissioners? Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Executive Director, and again, our appreciation to you and the staff for how efficiently and effectively we're operating under this circumstance, and I think we're making great progress. So thank you, and thank you to the entire staff. Can we go then to the next section, which is starting our licensing work? Thank you. So we're going to start with changes of ownership. Mr. Potvin, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
How you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Do you have a large large bottle of water next to you?
I have a couple.
Okay. Well, we'll take some breaks along the way. So anyway, we missed you last month, although Suko filled in quite admirably, but we certainly missed you.
Thank you for that.
So we're starting with changes of ownership. Could you walk us through please, iConnection Corporation?
Yes, thank you. It's actually the licensee here is actually One Connection Corporation.
I'm sorry, I apologize for misreading that.
Nope, no issue. They currently hold a provisional license for a medical marijuana treatment center. They are seeking to add 2 individuals that will acquire ownership or control interest over the single license. With that being said, the information is contained within the executive summary for your review. Commission staff recommend review and decision on this request, and if approved, request that their approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Any comments or questions from commissioners on this? Okay, thank you. Then Commissioner McBride, would you make a motion to approve the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Commissioner Flanagan, would you second?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation on change of ownership for one Connection Corporation. Thank you. Next change of control or change of ownership is Berkshire Routes Incorporated. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Berkshire Routes Incorporated. They currently have 5 adult use licenses and 1 medical marijuana treatment center license. They're seeking to add 1 additional person to acquire ownership and control over these licenses. The additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review. And with that, commission staff do recommend review and decision on this request. And if approved, request that your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there questions or comments for on this application? Then Commissioner Tyler, would you make a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation on Berkshire Routes Incorporated?
So moved.
Commissioner McBride, would you second?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation on change of ownership for Berkshire Routes Incorporated. Thank you. Next, Bountiful Farms Incorporated. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Bountiful Farms Incorporated. They currently have 1 medical marijuana treatment center license. They're seeking to add 1 additional person to acquire ownership or control over this license. Again, additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review. With that, staff do recommend review and decision on this request, and if approved, request that your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on Bountiful Farms Incorporated? Then Commissioner Flanagan, would you make a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Commissioner Title, would you second?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation on change of ownership for Bountiful Farms Incorporated. Thank you. Next is Lde Holdings Llc. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Lde Holdings Llc. They currently possess 3 adult use licenses. They're seeking to add 1 individual and 1 entity to acquire ownership and control over these licenses. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review. With that, staff do recommend review and decision on this request, and if approved, request that your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there any questions or comments on Lde Holdings LLC? Then could I ask, please, Commissioner McBride, would you make a motion to approve the staff recommendation on Lde Holdings LLC, change of ownership?
So moved.
Commissioner Flanagan, would you second?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation for change of ownership for Lde Holdings LLC. Thank you. The next change of ownership is Phytotherapy Incorporated. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Phytotherapy Incorporated. They currently possess a provisional medical marijuana treatment center license. They're seeking to add 4 individuals and 1 entity to acquire ownership or control over this license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review. Therefore, staff do recommend review and decision on this request, and if approved, request that the approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there any questions or comments on Vital Therapy Incorporated? Then could I ask, please, Commissioner Title, would you make a motion to approve the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Commissioner McBride, would you second?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation on Vital Therapy Incorporated. Last change of ownership is Sierra Naturals Incorporated. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Sierra Naturals Incorporated. They currently possess 4 adult use licenses and 3 medical marijuana treatment center licenses. They're seeking to add 1 individual to all of these licenses. There's additional information contained within the executive summary for your review, but commission staff do recommend review and decision on this request, and if approved, request that your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there questions or comments on Sierra Naturals Incorporated? Then could I ask Commissioner Flanagan, would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Commissioner Title, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Let the record show, thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation on Sierra Naturals Incorporated. Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. Are there any other changes of ownership?
Not at this time.
Pardon?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So next on the agenda are 2 requests for changes of location. Mr. Potvin, let's start with Bountiful Farms Incorporated, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Bountiful Farms Incorporated. Their current location is 200 Kenneth Welch Drive, located in Lakeville. They're seeking to relocate their medical marijuana treatment center dispensing operation to 13 Mercer Road, located in Natick. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review. Commission staff do recommend review and decision on this request, and if approved, request that your approval will be subject to the conditions before you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. Any questions or comments on Bountiful Farms Incorporated? Can I ask Commissioner Bob to make a motion to approve the recommendation? Once the motorcycle leaves. Commissioner McBride?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Flanagan, would you second the motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation on change of location for Bountiful Farms Incorporated. Thank you very much. Mr. Potvin, Green Care Therapeutics Incorporated.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Green Care Therapeutics Incorporated. Their current location is 53 Airport Park Drive, located in Rockland. They currently have a medical marijuana treatment center, a provisional license, and they're seeking to move their cultivation, manufacturing, and dispensing operations to 12 Lde Farm Road, located in Millbury. There's additional information in the executive summary for your review. Commission staff do recommend review and decision on this request, and if approved, request that your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Any questions or comments on Green Care Therapeutics? Then could I ask Commissioner Title, would you please make a motion to approve?
So moved.
Commissioner McBride, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote, please.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Title.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation on change of location for Green Care Therapeutics Incorporated. Any other changes of location at this time, Mr. Potvin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, those were easy. Now the fun begins. So as we have done in the past, we will treat renewals and final licenses as rosters, subject to the request of any commissioner to remove one or more from consideration as a roster and to consider them instead individually. So on renewals, we're going to break the roster into, if it's okay, 4 pieces, and I'll be very explicit about which ones are covered in each piece. If we we're going to start with all the adult use renewals, but exclude A, B, and C, which is Mission, Massachusetts Incorporated. All 3 of those licenses we will treat separately. So for the first tranche of this set of renewals, we will consider D, E, F, G, H, I, J for renewal. Before we consider that, I would like to read a motion request from Commissioner Flanagan to put a universal condition or 2 universal conditions on all of the adult use renewals. And so I'll read the conditions that Commissioner Flanagan requested. First, Commissioner Flanagan moves that within 90 days of the removal of the state of emergency declaration, all adult use licensees must notify the Cannabis Control Commission of updated actions taken on the plans to positively impact disproportionately harm people. Second, Commissioner Flanagan moves that within 90 days of the removal of the state of emergency declaration, all adult use licensees must notify the Cannabis Control Commission of updated actions taken on the diversity plans. So the motion I would be looking for here is to approve the renewal of the explicit licenses I mentioned. Again, D, E, F, G, H, I, and J, subject to the 2 conditions requested by Commissioner Flanagan. Before I ask that motion, are there any other comments or questions on that set of renewal applications? In that case, Commissioner McBride, would you make a motion to approve those renewals subject to the 2 conditions requested by Commissioner Flanagan?
So moved.
Commissioner Title, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, can I have your vote, please?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff renewal on recommendations for Comcan Incorporated, Sierra Naturals Incorporated, INSA Incorporated, Theory Wellness Incorporated, and the 3 licenses for Cresco HHH LLC by unanimous vote. Thank you. The next tranche I would like to do is Mission, Massachusetts, so A, B, and C. Commissioner Title has asked to be recused. So I don't know exactly what that means in a virtual meeting, Commissioner Title, but consider yourself recused. The request from Commissioner Flanagan for universal conditions apply to these 3 licenses as well. So again, I would like to ask, unless there's questions or comments, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation for the 3 Mission Mass Incorporated licenses, subject to the 2 conditions requested by Commissioner Flanagan. Before I ask for that motion, are there any questions or comments? And I think I have no choice but to ask Commissioner McBride to make the motion to approve those 3 licenses, subject to the 2 conditions requested by Commissioner Flanagan.
So moved.
And Commissioner Flanagan, I have no choice but to ask you to second that.
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show the commission, let the record show that Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote, please.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission approved the staff recommendation to renew the 3 Mission Massachusetts Incorporated licenses, subject to the 2 conditions requested by Commissioner Flanagan, with a vote of 3 in favor, Commissioners Flanagan, McBride, and Hoffman, with Commissioner Title recused. Thank you. The remainder, if I'm correct, Mr. Hoffman, the remainder of the renewals are for MTCs?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, so we're going to treat these again in 2 tranches. starting with KLMNOPQRST. And then we'll treat the 3 Temescal Wellness, U, V, and W. We'll treat them as a separate tranche. I am unaware of any conditions on renewals K through T. Is that correct, my fellow commissioners?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Title?
Can I read the condition that applies to these licensees?
Sure.
Within 60 days, the licensee shall submit their program to provide reduced cost or free marijuana to patients with documented verified financial hardship as required under 501.050(1)H. The submission shall include a progress update on implementing the plan, if applicable, and the website where the plan is posted, if applicable.
So that is already included as a condition. Is that correct, Commissioner Title?
Yes.
Okay. Are you comfortable, or are you requesting any additional conditions or change to that condition?
No, I just wanted to read it.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. Commissioners McBride or Flanagan, any conditions requested on K through T? I'm not aware of any requests, but I want to make sure.
No.
Okay. Then Commissioner Title, would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendations on renewals for K through T?
So moved.
Commissioner McBride, would you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman? Aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue renewals to Four Brothers Incorporated, the Botanist Incorporated, Alternative Therapies Group, two separate licenses, Garden Remedies Incorporated, In Good Health Incorporated, 2 separate licenses for Sierra Naturals Incorporated, Debilitating Medical Condition Treatment Centers Incorporated, and PharmaCannabis, Massachusetts. Thank you. I would like to treat as the final tranche of renewals U, V, and W, the 3 Temescal Wellness in Massachusetts renewal applications. Commissioner Title has asked to be recused from this. Commissioners McBride or Flanagan, I am unaware of any requests for conditions on these renewals. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, then Commissioner Flanagan, would you please make a motion to approve these 3 licenses?
So moved.
Approve these 3 recommendations.
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride, would you second?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman? Aye. Let the record show the commission approve the staff recommendation on renewal of the 3 Temescal Wellness Massachusetts licenses U, V, and W by a vote of 3 in favor, Commissioners Flanagan, McBride, and Hoffman, with Commissioner Title recused. Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other renewals? Mr. Potvin, at this point in time?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay, very good. Then let's move on, if we could, to final licenses. I am unaware. Well, Mr. Potvin, let me let you start. We're again going to treat these as a roster. Do you have any overall comments other than what's contained in the materials that you forwarded to the commission?
I have no additional information at this time on these final license recommendations, sir.
Fine, thank you. So I am unaware of any request to remove any of these licenses from the roster, nor am I aware of any additional conditions. Is that correct, my fellow commissioners?
Right.
Commissioner McBride, could I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue final licenses to A through J, 27 Broome Street LLC, 3 licenses for Atlantic Medicinal Partners, Berkshire Routes Incorporated, Resonate Incorporated, Sanctuary Medicinals LLC, Wiseacre Farms Incorporated, 4 Bros Incorporated, and Atlantic Medicinal Partners Incorporated. Can I have such a motion, Commissioner McBride?
So moved.
Commissioner Title, would you second?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Title.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue final licenses to this entire roster. Thank you very much. Mr. Potvin, are there any other final licenses for
Not at
consideration at this point in time?
Not at this time, sir.
I'm not being critical, by the way. We have a lot of stuff that your team has done, so I'm not saying we should have more. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
You are not, and I appreciate the compliment.
Deserve it. Okay, provisional licenses we have, if I'm counting correctly, and I ran out of fingers and toes to count with, but I think we have 55. So my suggestion to the commissioners and to Mr. Potvin is let's get partway through this and then we'll take a break. I think it's going to take us a while. And these, again, we will consider individually, although we'll discuss for the same entity. We'll discuss them at one time and then have separate votes on each license, but we'll only have one discussion, even if they are not co-located. So let's start, and the first three are ACK Natural LLC, and there's 3 licenses, MCN 281850, which is Tier 1 Indoor Cultivation, MPN 281557, which is Product Manufacturer, and MRN 282038, which is Retail. Unless there is concerned by my fellow commissioners on this, I would like to take this off the agenda for today. We have had conversations between staff and the applicant, and there is an agreement on both sides that additional information would be beneficial to a final decision on these applications. And so with the agreement of the applicant, I would like to take these 3 off the agenda for consideration today, and we will put it on a subsequent agenda once staff and the applicant feel like all the additional information that's required has been collected. Is there any objection to taking it off the agenda from my fellow commissioners?
No.
And again, this is done with the acquiescence and support of the applicant.
That's fine.
See, I just saved us a lot of time, Kyle. But let's keep going. So those 3 we will put onto a subsequent agenda, which brings us to D, which is Analytics Lab LLC, ILN 281280, an independent testing lab. This was an expedited application based upon the type of license. I know there's a request for conditions and comments on this, but before I ask for those, Mr. Potvin, can you lead us through the conversation on Analytics Lab LLC, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Analytics Lab LLC. Their proposed location is 28C Appleton Street, Suite 3, located in Holyoke. As you noted, this is an independent testing laboratory applicant, and they did receive expedited review. One additional thing I would like to point out as it pertains to independent testing labs specifically is their ISO certification. And
right.
To note that they right now have not been accredited for ISO certification, and staff do recommend approval of this provisional license with the additional condition that subject to final licensure is subject to the applicant being accredited to their most current ISO certification.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Commissioner McBride, I'm aware that you would like to place a condition on this and make some comments. Would you like me to read the condition, or would you like to do that as part of your comments?
If you wouldn't mind reading the condition, that'd be great. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Sure. So the condition requested by Commissioner McBride is prior to final licensure, the applicant shall provide additional information regarding the provision and the diversity plan to provide lines of credit to MEs for testing services. Additional information shall include the terms of the lines of credit and the applicant's plan to ensure no conflict of interest exists between it and MEs potentially receiving the line of credit. Commissioner McBride, do you have additional comments?
I just wanted to raise this and add this condition because there is a requirement under Section 1 of Chapter 94G, the definition of independent testing laboratory, that a laboratory be independent financially from any medical marijuana treatment center or any licensee or marijuana establishment for which it conducts a test. So the line of credit component of the plan just raises some questions for me. And I'd like to, I guess, understand a little bit better, which is why I'm requesting the condition. You know, the great thing is that as we are considering more licenses for independent testing labs, that, you know, we are now fulfilling part of the mandate to ensure that there is adequate capacity, right, for all of our licensees. But we do have to just be aware that there are particular requirements with independent testing labs. And I want to make sure that we have an understanding and can start to lay some groundwork for how we're assessing that independence as nuanced provisions come up in various plans that are part of the application process.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. It's nice to see we have a couple of independent testing labs in this cycle, so that's very good to see. Are there other comments or questions on this before I ask for a motion? Then I'd like to please ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Analytics Lab LLC, ILN 281280, subject to the condition requested by Commissioner McBride. Can I have such a motion, please, Commissioner Flanagan?
So moved.
Commissioner Tyler, could I have a second?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote, please.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Analytics Lab LLC, subject to the condition requested by Commissioner McBride. Thank you. Next up is another independent testing lab, Aries Laboratories LLC, ILN 281325. This again was expedited due to the type of license. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Aries Laboratories LLC. They're going to plan on doing business as Indo Laboratories. Their proposed location is 257 Cimarrano Drive, Suite 100, located in Marlborough. Again, they are seeking an independent testing laboratory license. They did receive expedited review, and compared to the last applicant, they also have not yet been accredited with the International Organization of Standardization, their ISO certification. And again, we add that condition for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. I am not aware of any requests for conditions on this license application, but can I ask my fellow commissioners, are there conditions or comments or questions for Mr. Potvin on this application?
No.
Okay, thank you. Then could I ask Commissioner McBride, would you make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Aries Laboratories LLC, ILN 281325?
So moved.
Commissioner Flanagan, would you second that, please?
Second.
Let the record show Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Aries Laboratories LLC. Thank you very much. Mr. Potvin, next up is Ascend Mass LLC, MRN 282837 Retail. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Ascend Mass LLC. The proposed location is 1089 Washington Street, located in Newton. They are seeking a retail license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you. I am not aware of any conditions that have been requested on this license. Is that correct, or are there comments or questions for Mr. Potvin? Okay, then could I ask Commissioner Tyler, would you make a recommendation, please, to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Ascend Massachusetts LLC, MRN 282837?
So moved.
Commissioner McBride, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan?
Abstain.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Ascend Mass LLC, MRN 282837, with a vote of 3 in favor, Commissioners McBride, Tidal, and Hoffman, with Commissioner Flanagan abstaining. Thank you. We'll next move to cover G and H for Bare Naked Greens LLC, MCN 282404, which is Tier 3 indoor cultivation, and MPN 281-761 product manufacturer. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Bare Naked Greens LLC. The proposed location is 290 Millville Road, located in Uxbridge. The 2 licenses being sought are a Tier 3 indoor cultivation license and a product manufacturing license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Subject to that, commission staff do recommend the issuance of 2 provisional licenses subject to the conditions before you.
And these are co-located, if I'm correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So we'll vote on them separately, but I am unaware of any conditions that have been requested on these 2 license applications. Is that correct? And are there any comments or questions from Mr. Potvin on the 2 Bare Naked Greens LLC applications?
One comment, please.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Tidal.
No condition, but just a comment on the positive impact plan. This was one of a couple of applicants that had listed cleanup events as the entirety of their positive impact plan. I think it technically meets the requirements, but when they submit their documentation, I would expect the cleanup events to be significant.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions from Mr. Potvin?
No.
Okay, thank you. Then again, let's just vote separately on this. So could I ask for motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Bare Naked Greens LLC, MCN 282404. Commissioner Flanagan, would you make such a motion?
So moved.
Commissioner Tidal, would you second?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Tidal. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Tidal.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Bare Naked Greens LLC, MCN 282404. Next, could I ask for a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Bare Naked Greens LLC, MPN 281761. Can I have such a motion, please, Commissioner McBride?
So moved.
Commissioner Flanagan, would you second that, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Tidal.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Bare Naked Greens LLC, MPN 281761. Thank you. Mr. Potvin, next we have 2 up for Blue Collar Botany Corporation, MCN 281751, Tier 1 Indoor Cultivation, and MPN 281520, Product Manufacturer. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Blue Collar Botany Corp. The proposed location is 644 River Street, located in Fitchburg. The 2 licenses being sought are a Tier 1 indoor cultivation license and a product manufacturing license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff do recommend the issuance of 2 provisional licenses subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. And again, I'm not aware of any conditions requested on these licenses, but are there questions or comments? Okay, then again, we'll have separate votes. Commissioner Tidal, I'd like to ask for a motion, please, to approve the provisional license application for Blue Collar Botany Corporation, MCN 281751. Could I have such a motion, please, Commissioner Tidal?
So moved.
Thank you. Could I have a second, Commissioner McBride?
Second.
Let the record show Commissioner Tidal made the motion to approve. Thank you, by the way, and that Commissioner McBride seconded the motion. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Tidal.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Blue Collar Botany Corporation, MCN 281751. Next, please, could I ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Blue Collar Botany Corp. MPN 281520. Could I have such a motion, please, Commissioner Flanagan?
So moved.
Commissioner Title, could I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue provisional license to Blue Collar Botany Corp. MPN 281520. Thank you. Let's go to the next page, please. Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. My suggestion is let's get through this entire page down to number T or letter T, and then I'm going to ask for a motion to recess for perhaps 10 minutes, but let's get through this entire page. Are you okay, Mr. Potvin, with that?
Yes, sir.
Any commissioners, is that okay if we go through this and then take a recess?
Sure.
Okay, great. So let's start with K&L Busca LLC, 2 licenses, MCN 282139, Tier 4 Indoor Cultivation, and MPN 281664, Product Manufacturer. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you stated, the applicant is Busca LLC. Their proposed location is 71 Linden Street, located in Lynn, Mass. The 2 licenses being sought are a Tier 4 Indoor Cultivation license and a Product Manufacturing license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. With that, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of 2 provisional licenses subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I am unaware of any requests for conditions, additional conditions on these applications. Is that correct? And are there questions or comments for Mr. Potvin on these 2 Busca applications? Okay, then I'd like please to ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Busca LLC, MCN 282139. Could I have such a motion, please, Commissioner McBride?
Sorry, so moved.
Thank you. Could I have a second, please, Commissioner Flanagan?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion was made by Commissioner McBride, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman? Aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Busca LLC, MCN 282139. I'd next like to ask for a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Busca LLC, MPN 281664, Product Manufacturer. Commissioner Title, can I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Commissioner McBride, could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman? Aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Busca LLC, MPN 281664. Thank you. Next up is Buds Goods and Provisions Corporation, MRN 282410, retail. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Buds Goods and Provisions Corp. The proposed location is 1540 Bedford Street, located in Abington, Mass. The applicant is seeking a retail license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. With that, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. Again, I am unaware of any conditions requested on this particular application, but is that correct? And are there questions or comments for Mr. Potvin before I ask for a motion? Okay, then I'd like to ask for a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Buds Goods and Provisions Corp, MRN 282410. Could I have such a motion, please, Commissioner McBride?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Title, could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Bud Good and Provisions Corp. MRN 282410. Thank you. Next up are 3 license applications for Bluto Brothers LLC, MCN 281939, Tier 1 Indoor Cultivation. Second is MPN 281585, Product Manufacturer. Third is MRN 282225, Retail. These were all 3 expedited due to the applicant status as a disadvantaged business enterprise. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Bluto Brothers LLC. The proposed location for these 3 operations is 604 Main Street, located in Holyoke, Mass. As stated, they are seeking a Tier 1 indoor cultivation license, product manufacturing license, and a retail license. Again, to reiterate, this applicant was an expedited applicant that did have their applications reviewed due to the fact that they did qualify as a disadvantaged business enterprise. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and your consideration. With that said, commission staff do recommend the issuance of 3 provisional licenses subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I am unaware of any conditions requested on these 3 applications. Is that correct? And do my fellow commissioners have any questions or comments on these before I ask for a motion? Okay, then I'd like to ask for a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Bluto Brothers LLC, MCN 281939. Commissioner Flanagan, can I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride, could I have a second?
Second.
Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Bluto Brothers LLC, MCN 281939. Next is Bluto Brothers LLC, MPN 281585. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license. Commissioner Title, would you make such a motion, please?
So moved.
Commissioner Flanagan, would you second?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Bluto Brothers LLC, MPN 281585. Thank you. Finally, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Bluto Brothers LLC, MRN 282225. Can I have such a motion, please, Commissioner McBride?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Title, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Bluto Brothers LLC, MRN 282225. Thank you. Now I'd like to move on to CCE Cat LLC, MPN 281673, product manufacturer, Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is CCE Cat LLC. They propose to do business as Spirited Extractions. Their proposed location is 800 Falmouth Road, Unit B1, located in Mashpee. They are seeking a product manufacturing license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I'm aware of a request for a condition from Commissioner Title, which I will read. Revised diversity plan goal to employ 20% or more women and or veterans in retail and management positions should be clearer and objectively reasonable, and to address the following questions. First, what is meant by retail positions for a product manufacturing license? And second, where the plan refers generically to job fairs and media that reach women and veterans, can the applicant demonstrate that the applicant has researched such resources and planned for participation in them? Did I get that correctly, Commissioner Title?
Yes.
Do you wish to make any comments in addition to requesting that condition, Commissioner Title?
No, thank you.
And are there any other questions or comments from my other fellow commissioners?
No.
Okay, great. Then I'd like to ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to CCE Cat LLC MPN 281673, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, could I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride, could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman? Aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to CCE Cat LLC, MPN 281673, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Thank you. Next, Clean Technique LLC, MPN 281479, product manufacturer, Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Before I turn, this is an expedited application based upon their status as a disadvantaged business enterprise. Go ahead, Mr. Potvin.
Thank you. The applicant here is Clean Technique LLC. The proposed location is 32 Shar Drive, located in Westfield. They are seeking a product manufacturing license. As you stated, Mr. Chairman, they are an expedited applicant, and that is due to their qualification as a disadvantaged business enterprise. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review. Therefore, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I am aware of a request for a condition on this license, an additional condition on this license from Commissioner Title, which I will read. Revised diversity plan goal to hire and retain a staff comprised of at least 20% women to be objectively reasonable. Commissioner Title, any additional comments?
No.
Any other comments or questions from my other fellow commissioners?
No.
Okay, great. Then I'd like to ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Clean Technique LLC, MPN 281479, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Title, could I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Commissioner Flanagan, could I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion was made by Commissioner Title, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote, please.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman? Aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Clean Technique LLC, MPN 281479, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Thank you. Next up are two applications from Commonwealth Farm 7. Is it Commonwealth Farm 176 Incorporated, Mr. Potvin?
No, sir. It's Commonwealth Farm 1761 Incorporated.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see that now. Sorry. That's why we're going to take a break after these two. My eyes are getting a little bit blurry. So two applications from Commonwealth Farm 1761 Incorporated, MCN 281922, which is Tier 11 Indoor Cultivation, and MPN 281571 Product Manufacturing. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Commonwealth Farms 1761 Incorporated. Their proposed location is 1062 Edmonds Road, locating in Framingham. Again, they are seeking a Tier 11 Indoor Cultivation license and a product manufacturing license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. With that said, the commission staff do recommend the issuance of two provisional licenses subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. Again, I'm aware of a condition requested by Commissioner Title on both of these applications, and I'll read it. Revised diversity plan goal to make best efforts to hire at least 15% employees that are women and/or minorities to be objectively reasonable. Commissioner Title, did I get that right? Do you have any comments to make in addition to that request for condition?
That was correct, and no more comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from my other fellow commissioners?
No.
Okay, then I'd like to ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Commonwealth Farms 1761 Inc., MCN 281922, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Commissioner McBride, can I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Title, would you second that, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Commonwealth Farm 1761 Inc., MCN 281922, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. I would next like to ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Commonwealth Farm 1761 Inc., MPN 281571, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, could I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Commonwealth Farm 1761 Inc., MPN 281571. Thank you. Unless there are any objections, I would like to ask for a motion to recess. Let's see, it's 11:15, so I'd like to ask for a motion to recess till 11:30. Can I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Flanagan. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner McBride. Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that we unanimously approved taking a recess from now until 11:30. Thank you very much, everybody. And Mr. Potman, thank you particularly for getting us through the first part of this.
You're welcome.
Okay, I have 11:30. Commissioner Flanagan, are you ready to go?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride? Commissioner Title?
Yes.
We ready to go? Erica, we all set? Yep, got the screen back up. Thank you. Mr. Pothner, you set?
Yes, sir.
Great, let's go. I think we're about a third of the way through the provisionals, if my math is correct. Let's move on. We're on Hugh Community Care Collective Incorporated, MRN 282974 Retail. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Community Care Collective Incorporated. The proposed location is 4 Republic Road, located in Billerica. The license they're seeking is a retail license. There's additional information contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. With that said, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I am not aware of any conditions requested on this license. Is that correct? And are there questions or comments for Mr. Potvin on this license, on this application? Then could I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Community Care Collective Incorporated, MRN 282974. Commissioner Title, can I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Commissioner McBride, could I have a second? Commissioner McBride?
Sorry, second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman? Aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Community Care Collective Incorporated, MRN 282974. Thank you. Next up is DM Distribution LLC, MXN 281355, which is a transporter with other ME license. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is DM Distribution LLC, doing business as DM. The proposed location is 207 Daniel Shays Highway, located in Orange, Mass. They are seeking a transportation license with other existing marijuana establishment licenses. There's additional information contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff with that information do recommend that you issue a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I am not aware of any additional requests for conditions on this license, but are there questions or comments for Mr. Potvin on this application? Fine, then could I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to DM Distribution LLC, MXN 281355. Commissioner Flanagan, would you make such a motion, please?
So moved.
Commissioner Title, would you second?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to DM Distribution LLC, MXN 281355. Thank you. Next is Elevated Routes LLC, MRN 283092 Retail. This is an expedited application based upon the applicant's status as a disadvantaged business enterprise. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Elevated Routes LLC. Their proposed location is 44 William C. Gould Jr. Way, located in Kingston.
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
The proposed location is 44 William C. Gould Jr. Way, located in Kingston, Mass. They're seeking a retail license, and as you stated, they are an expedited applicant due to their qualification as a disadvantaged business enterprise. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I'm aware of a request for an additional condition on this application from Commissioner Flanagan. I will read it. Clarification on how a donation to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation will directly benefit the identified targeted areas. Did I read that correctly, Commissioner Flanagan? Do you have any additional comments?
You did read it correctly, Mr. Chairman, and I just wanted to make certain that they know I don't have an objection to the donation of to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Actually, that's a foundation that's near and dear to my heart for reasons, but I really think that we need to understand how it's going to impact the population we're seeking to impact.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioners Title or McBride, additional questions or comments?
No.
Okay, thank you. Then I'd like to ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Elevated Routes LLC, MRN 283092, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Title, would you make such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride, would you second the motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Title made the motion, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Title.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Elevated Routes LLC, MRN 283092, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Flanagan. Thank you. Next up is Emerald Grove Incorporated, MRN 282808, retail. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Emerald Grove Incorporated. The proposed location is 3 Main Street, Unit 1, located in Eastham, Mass. The license being sought here is a retail license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I'm aware of a request for an additional condition from Commissioner Title, which I will read. Revised diversity plan goal to ensure at least 15% of staff will be women to be objectively reasonable. Commissioner Title, any additional comments on that?
No, thank you.
Any questions or comments from Commissioners McBride or Flanagan?
No, thank you.
Okay, then I'd like to ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Emerald Grove Incorporated, MRN 282808, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Can I have such a motion, please, Commissioner McBride?
So moved.
Thank you. Could I have a second, please, Commissioner Title?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Title. Commissioner Title.
Aye.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Emerald Grove Incorporated, MRN 282808, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Thank you. Next, we have 2 applications for Frozen 4 Corporation. First is MPN 281749, product manufacturer. Second is MRN 282881, retail. This is a priority applicant given status as an economic empowerment applicant. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you stated, the applicant here is Frozen 4 Corporation. The proposed location is 985 Plain Street, located in Marshfield, Mass. The 2 licenses being sought are a product manufacturing license and a retail license. Again, to reiterate, this is an economic empowerment applicant. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of 2 provisional licenses subject to the conditions before you.
Mr. Potvin, thank you. Did I mess up here? There's a 3rd Frozen 4 application as well, and that was covered by what your comments?
No, sir. The 3rd Frozen 4 Corporation, the transportation application, is at a different location. So,
fine. So we'll talk about that separately. Thank you very much. I am not aware of any requests for additional conditions on these 2 applications, but commissioners, are there comments or questions for us? From Commissioner Title?
I just wanted to thank the staff for adding now for economic empowerment what the percentage of ownership is
Right.
in the meeting packet for clarity.
Well, you made that request at the last meeting, if I'm correct.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, my appreciation to the staff as well. Thank you. If there are no further questions, then let me ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Frozen 4 Corporation, MPN 281749. Can I ask for such a motion, please, Commissioner Flanagan?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride,
Aye.
Commissioner Title,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Frozen 4 Corporation, MPN 281749. Let me next ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Frozen 4 Corporation, MRN 282881. Commissioner Title, can I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride, would you second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Let the record show that Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride,
Aye.
Commissioner Title,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Frozen 4 Corporation, MRN 282881. Thank you. We have one more provisional application from Frozen 4 Corporation, MXN 281357, which is transporter with other marijuana enterprise license. This also is a priority application given the applicant status as an economic empowerment applicant. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, the applicant here is Frozen 4 Corporation. The proposed location is 24 Williams Way, Bellingham, Mass. The license they're seeking is a transportation license with other existing marijuana establishment licenses. Again, this applicant is an economic empowerment applicant. There's additional information contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. With that, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I'm not aware of any conditions requested on this license, additional conditions requested, but are there questions or comments from the commission on this? Okay, then please, could I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Frozen 4 Corporation, MXN 281357. Can I have such a motion, please, Commissioner Flanagan?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Title, could you second the motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride,
Aye.
Commissioner Title,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Frozen 4 Corporation, MXN 281357. Always good to see economic empowerment applicants come through this part of the process, so congratulations. The next two are Golden Rock Farm Incorporated, MCN 282137, which is Tier 3 indoor cultivation, and MPN 281710, product manufacturer. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Glacier Rock Farm Incorporated. The proposed location is 506 Stage Road, located in Cummington, Mass. The two licenses being sought are a Tier 3 indoor cultivation license and a product manufacturing license. There's additional information contained within the executive summary for the commission's review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff do recommend the issuance of two provisional licenses subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I am not aware of any conditions that are requested on these two licenses, but are there questions or comments from commissioners on this? Okay, then could I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Glacier Rock Farm Incorporated, MCN 282137. Commissioner McBride, would you make such a motion, please?
So moved.
Commissioner Flanagan, would you second?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride,
Aye.
Commissioner Title,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Glacier Rock Farm Incorporated, MCN 282137. Let me next please ask for a motion to approve the provisional license for Glacier Rock Farm Incorporated, MPN 281710. Commissioner Tyler, would you make such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride, would you second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Let the record show Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote, please.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride,
Aye.
Commissioner Title,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Glacier Rock Farm Incorporated, MPN 281710. Thank you. Next up are 3 licenses for Greengold Group Incorporated. These are not co-located? FF is in a separate location, is that correct?
That is correct. The cultivation and product manufacturing applications are co-located. The retail is at a separate location.
Fine. So let's do the first 2 then, please, Mr. Potvin. So the first is Greengold Group Incorporated, MCN 281649, which is Tier 7 indoor cultivation, and Greengold Group Incorporated, MPN 281456, product manufacturer. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Greengold Group Incorporated. The proposed location is 60 Prospect Street, located in North Brookfield. The 2 licenses being sought are a Tier 7 indoor cultivation license and a product manufacturing license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff do recommend the issuance of 2 provisional licenses subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I am not aware of any conditions that have been requested on these licenses. Do my fellow commissioners have any questions or comments? Fine, then could I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Greengold Group Incorporated, MCN 281649. Commissioner Flanagan, would you make such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Tuttle, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Tuttle. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Tuttle.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Greengold Group Incorporated, MCN 281649. Let me next ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Greengold Group Incorporated, MPN 281456. Could I have such a motion, please, Commissioner McBride?
So moved.
Thank you. Could I have a second, Commissioner Flanagan?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Commissioner Flanagan, let the record show that Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Can I have your vote, please, Commissioner Flanagan?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Tuttle?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Greengold Group Incorporated, MPN 281456. Thank you. Next is another application from Greengold Group Incorporated, MRN 281791, retail. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is Greengold Group Incorporated. The proposed location is 46 Worcester Road, located in Charlton, Mass. They are seeking a retail license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I am not aware of any additional requests for conditions on this application, but are there questions or comments from other commissioners? Thank you. Then let me ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Greengold Group Incorporated, MRN 281791. Could I have such a motion, please, Commissioner McBride?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Tuttle, could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner McBride made the motion approved, seconded by Commissioner Tuttle. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Tuttle.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Greengold Group Incorporated, MRN 281791. Thank you. Next up is Green River Cannabis Company Incorporated, MRN 282175 retail. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Green River Cannabis Company Incorporated. The proposed location is 398 Deerfield Street, located in Greenfield, Mass. They are seeking a retail license. The executive summary has additional information and for your consideration and review. Subject to that information, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I have a request from Commissioner Tuttle to add an additional condition, which I will read. Revised diversity plan goal to employ 20% or more women and/or veterans in retail and management positions to be clearer and objectively reasonable, and to address the following question. Specifically, what is the basis for the indication that the annual advertisements in the Hampshire Gazette are a way to target women and veterans? Did I get that correct, Commissioner Title?
Yes.
Any additional comments or questions from you?
No.
Other commissioners, Commissioner Flanagan or McBride?
I don't.
Okay, thank you. Then could I please ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Green River Cannabis Company Incorporated, MRN 282175, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Can I have such a motion, please, Commissioner Title?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Bride, would you second the motion, please?
Second.
Thank you very much. Let the record show Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Green River Cannabis Company Incorporated, MRN 282175, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Thank you. Next up, we have two applications co-located for Hennep Cultivation LLC, the first being MCN 282282 for Tier 6 indoor cultivation, the second being MPN 281766 for product manufacturing. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you stated, the applicant here is Hennep Cultivation LLC. The proposed location is 160 Grove Street, located in Franklin. They are seeking a Tier 6 indoor cultivation license and a product manufacturing license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of 2 provisional licenses subject to the conditions before you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I have a request for additional conditions from Commissioner Title. I believe these apply to both of those applications. Is that correct, Commissioner Title?
Yes.
Let me read this, please, then. Revised diversity plan goal to employ 20% or more women and or veterans in retail and management positions to be clear and objectively reasonable, and to address the following questions. First is, what is meant by retail positions for a cultivation and product manufacturing license? And 2 is, what is the basis for the indication that annual advertisements in the Milford Daily News and the Franklin Wicked Local are a way to target women and veterans? Did I get that correct?
Yes, and I'll make an additional comment if it's okay.
Please. Yeah, please.
Just that I think it is fine to have elements of diversity plans that are similar to other diversity plans that make sense. But when it's copied and pasted to the point where it's nonsensical and you're copying and pasting different publications with the same sentence about who those publications are targeting without any basis for it, that does not meet the purpose of a diversity plan, because it doesn't show that you have made plans that are going to get results.
Thank you. Are you comfortable, though, with the conditions that I just read out, or would you like to modify or add?
No, I'm comfortable with that. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments, Commissioners McBride or Flanagan, before I ask for a motion? Okay, thank you. So let me ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Hennep Cultivation LLC, MCN 282282, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Title. Can I have such a motion, please, Commissioner Flanagan?
So moved.
Commissioner Title, would you second?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman? Aye. Let the record show the Commission unanimously approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Hennep Cultivation LLC, MCN 282282, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Could I next please ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Hennep Cultivation LLC, MPN 281766, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title? Can I have such a motion, please, Commissioner McBride?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Flanagan, would you second the motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Hennep Cultivation LLC, MPN 281766, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Thank you. Next up, we have two applications from Holistic Health Group Incorporated. Are these co-located or separate locations, Mr. Potvin?
They're co-located.
Okay, so we'll do them both together and vote separately. First is Holistic Health Group Incorporated, MCN 282431, which is Tier 3 indoor cultivation. And the second is MCN 282488, which is Tier 5 outdoor cultivation. The applicant was given priority as an MTC under MTC priority, but also for the second of these licenses, the tier or the outdoor cultivation, it was expedited because of the type of license sought. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Holistic Health Group Incorporated. Their proposed location is 477 Wareham Street, located in Middleborough, Mass. As you stated, there are two cultivation licenses being sought. One is a Tier 3 indoor cultivation license. The other is a Tier 5 outdoor cultivation license. The Tier 3 indoor cultivation license was afforded MTC priority status in the review of their application, while their outdoor cultivation application did receive expedited review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of two provisional licenses subject to the conditions before you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I have requests for conditions from both Commissioners Title and Flanagan. So I'll read them. Commissioner Title's request, and it applies again to both licenses. Is that correct, Commissioner Title?
Yes.
Her proposed condition is revised diversity plan goal to hire at least 10% of employees who are Massachusetts residents and are minorities, persons with disabilities, or women to be objectively reasonable. Commissioner Flanagan, did I get that correct, Commissioner Title?
Yes.
Thank you. And then Commissioner Flanagan's request for a condition is, quote, resubmit the positive impact plan to include more than a hiring plan. Did I get that right, Commissioner Flanagan? Do you have any additional comments?
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner McBride, anything else?
No.
Okay. Then I'd like to ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Holistic Health Group Incorporated, MCN 282431, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Flanagan and Title. Can I have such a motion, please, Commissioner Title?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride, would you second the motion, please?
Second.
Thank you very much. Let the record show Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman? Aye. Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Holistic Health Group Incorporated, MCN 282431, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Title and Flanagan. Next, let me ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Holistic Health Group Incorporated, MCN 282488, subject to the conditions, additional conditions requested by Commissioners Title and Flanagan. Can I have such a motion, please, Commissioner Flanagan?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Title, would you second the motion?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman? Aye. Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Holistic Health Group Incorporated, MCN 282488, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Title and Flanagan. Thank you very much. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing fine, sir.
Good. We're making progress here. Still got a ways to go. Next up is Iron Express Incorporated, MRN 282424 Retail. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Iron Express Incorporated. The proposed location is 454 Quaker Highway, located in Uxbridge, Mass. They're seeking a retail license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I'm unaware of any additional requests for conditions on this license. Is that correct, or are there comments or questions? Thank you. Then could I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Iron Express Incorporated, MRN 282424. Commissioner Title, would you make such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Title.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Iron Express Incorporated, MRN 282424. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Potvin, is JBAM. Is that the way to pronounce it?
That's how I've been pronouncing it, sir.
My apologies to the applicant if I got that wrong. Anyway, it's MCN 282510, Tier 1 Indoor Cultivation. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, the applicant here is JBAM Incorporated. The proposed location is 71 Downing Parkway, located in Building A in Pittsfield. They are seeking a Tier 1 indoor cultivation license. There's additional information contained within the executive summary for the commission's review and consideration. With that, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I have a request for additional conditions from Commissioner Flanagan, which I will read. First is redesign the educational seminars. The topics presented to be discussed are topics that are appropriate for the community outreach meeting, which is required before licensure. And as stated from the positive impact plan, will inform the community on the facts surrounding the company's activities, cannabis use in the industry at large, and will address misconceptions or fears that many may have concerning the company's community presence. So that's the first request, to redesign the educational seminars. Second condition requested is provide more specifics on how many educational seminars will be held. The positive impact plan says that it hopes to hold, I'd like more concrete numbers of seminars that will be held. Did I get that right, Commissioner Flanagan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Any additional comments?
No.
Any other questions or comments from Commissioners McBride or Title? Okay, then could I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to JBAM Incorporated, MCN 282510, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Flanagan. Can I have such a motion, Commissioner Flanagan?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Title, would you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Title.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to JBAM Incorporated, MCN 282510, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Flanagan. Thank you. Next up is Life Essence, 3 applications, first 2 co-located. Is that correct, Mr. Potvin?
That is correct, sir.
Thank you very much. So the first 2 we'll consider are Life Essence Incorporated, MCN 281999, which is Tier 9 Indoor Cultivation, and MPN 281624, Product Manufacturer. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Life Essence Incorporated. They plan to do business as Trulieve. The proposed location is 56 Canal Street, located in Holyoke, Mass. The 2 licenses being sought are a Tier 9 indoor cultivation license and a product manufacturing license. There's additional information contained within the executive summary for the commission's review and consideration. With that said, commission staff do recommend the issuance of 2 provisional licenses subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I am unaware of any additional conditions requested on this license, but are there questions or comments from any of the commissioners before I ask for a motion? Okay, thank you. Then can I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Life Essence Incorporated, MCN 281999, Tier 9 Indoor Cultivation. Could I have such a motion, please, Commissioner McBride?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Flanagan, would you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approves the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Life Essence Incorporated MCN 281999. Let me next ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Life Essence Incorporated MPN 281624. Can I have such a motion, please, Commissioner Flanagan?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Title, would you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you very much. Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Title.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Life Essence Incorporated MPN 281624. Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Now we have a third application from Life Essence Incorporated, MRN 282981 Retail.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant again here is Life Essence Incorporated, again doing business as True Leaf. The proposed location here is 216 North King Street, located in Northampton, Mass. They are seeking a retail license. There's additional information contained within the executive summary for the commission's review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. Are there any questions or comments on this? I'm not aware of any requests for additional conditions. Then could I please ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Life Essence Incorporated MRN 282981. Could I have such a motion, please, Commissioner Title?
So moved.
Thank you. Could I have a second, Commissioner McBride?
Second.
Thank you very much. Let the record show Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Your vote, Commissioner Flanagan?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Life Essence Incorporated MRN 282981. Thank you. Next slide, please. Thank you. The next application is Major Bloom LLC, MRN 281759, retail. This is a priority application given the applicant status as an economic empowerment applicant. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Major Bloom LLC. The proposed location is 20 John Williams Street, located in Attleboro, Mass. They are seeking a retail license. Again, they are an economic empowerment applicant and did receive priority review. There's additional information contained within the executive summary for the commission's review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I am not aware of any additional conditions requested, but are there comments or questions for Mr. Potvin before I ask for a motion? Okay. Then could I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Major Bloom LLC, MRN 281759. Can I have such a motion, please, Commissioner Title?
So moved.
Can I have a second, Commissioner McBride, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Title made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Title.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Major Bloom LLC, MRN 281759. Thank you. Once again, it's always gratifying to see priority EEA applicants come through the process, so best of luck. Next up is Mass Biolytics Corp, ILN 281290, which is another independent testing lab, which is good to see. This is expedited based on the license type. Mr. Potvin, would you talk about this one, please?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead. Just talk about whatever you want to, Mr. Potvin.
Thank you.
What are you having for lunch today?
No plans as of right now. I plan on sharing lunch with all of you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Mass Biolytics Corp. The proposed location is 20 Commercial Drive, located in Drake, Mass. Again, this is another independent testing laboratory applicant. They did receive expedited review based on the fact of their license type. Differentiating this applicant, this independent testing lab applicant versus the previous two that the commission has already voted on today, this applicant is already certified and does have their ISO certification accredited by the Perry Johnson Laboratory Accreditation. With that said, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Flanagan has requested an additional condition on this license, which I will read. Provide clarity on how internship would work with a vocational school to ensure that it does not include anybody under the age of 21. Did I get that correct, Commissioner Flanagan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Any additional comments or questions?
No.
Thank you. Any other comments from my other fellow commissioners? Okay, then could I please have a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to excuse me, Mass Biologics Corp, ILN 281290, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, would you make such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Title, would you second the motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride.
Aye.
Commissioner Title.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Mass Biologics Corp, ILN 281290, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Flanagan. Thank you very much. Next up is Mayflower Medicinals Incorporated, MRN 282155, retail. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Mayflower Medicinals Incorporated. The proposed location is 450 Chelmsford Street, Unit 7, located in Lowell, Mass. They are seeking a retail license. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for your review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. I'm aware that a request for an additional condition from Commissioner Title, and I'll read it. Revised diversity goal plan to make best efforts to hire at least 15% employees that are women and or minorities to be objectively reasonable. I understand also, Commissioner Title, you wish to make an additional comment regarding this applicant. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, if I could have a minute to address a concern about an open labor complaint.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. So I imagine that we all share a concern about making sure that workers are protected. So I wanted to bring that up for this application. I don't feel strongly about how we should address it. I just feel that it should be addressed. So I would like to take a minute to discuss the concern and then a couple of options, and then I'll hand it back to you, Mr. Chairman, for further discussion.
Okay, thank you.
So to me, the most important piece of context here is that according to our regulations, a person is not eligible for a marijuana business license if they have open or unresolved criminal proceedings that may result in a felony conviction, excluding marijuana offenses. That is a mandatory disqualification. It's also a presumptive negative suitability determination to have outstanding or unresolved criminal warrants. And the reason I think that's relevant here is for consistency purposes, because I continue to have concerns about this, but this is the bar that we have set, which is that even if you have not been convicted of anything, open and unresolved can mean disqualified. So the issue that I see as analogous here is that according to multiple news reports, there's an open complaint in front of another agency against Mayflower Medicinals for unlawful interference in unionizing efforts. And I just want to be clear that neither a complaint nor a news story is evidence of guilt or wrongdoing. And I also don't want to suggest that we interfere with any other agency's jurisdiction. And I also want to be sensitive to the fact that we don't want to set a precedent where anyone could interfere with a license or hold up a license by filing a complaint. Nonetheless, I take this issue very seriously, as I'm sure all of you do as well. And I do think there's a consistency issue with how we might handle another open issue involving, say, an owner. So whether a company is unlawfully retaliating against workers who are organizing is, in my opinion, very relevant to the ultimate question that we're deciding, which is whether a company can run a lawful marijuana business. We mentioned in our regulations over and over several times that companies need to comply with all applicable laws and regulations. And then above and beyond that, I just think in general, we have an extra obligation right now to think about employees and any concerns that employees' rights are not being respected. So with all of that said, I don't have a particular path forward in mind to address this, but I do have 3 different options for how we might handle it as a starting point. There might be plenty of other good options. So I will name those 3 and then hand it back. So one option that I think would be consistent with how we might handle another background issue is to hold off on approving this license, consider it an open issue as we would with other open issues, ask for disclosure of the complaint and more information, maybe a plan to ensure that workers are able to exercise their lawful rights. I don't necessarily think that's fair, but I think it's consistent with what we might do in other situations. Another option would be only if there's a violation found by the other agency it's in front of, that the licensee must disclose it and demonstrate that they are complying with whatever they're required to do under the decision. So that would be a condition. And then a third option could be to place a condition that asks for a disclosure of the complaint and a plan to ensure that workers are able to exercise their lawful rights, and then to update that once there is a decision on the complaint and anything that they're required to do under that decision.
Commissioner Title, just a question clarification. Could you just help me understand the difference between your second and third options?
Yes. So one option would be only if there's a decision that finds that there was some wrongdoing on their part, they would need to disclose it and have some kind of remedial plan. The other option is, as of today, we would place a condition that they need to disclose the complaint and some kind of remedial plan.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Flanagan, please go ahead.
I have a couple of concerns that with regards to this issue. The first being that in the middle of a licensing meeting, we seem to be embarking on a policy discussion of what's going to happen when a licensee has activity in front of another agency. I think that needs to be reserved for a policy discussion and whether or not that should be included in our regulations or our guidance or not. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I think that the suitability standards that we have in our regulations are a really high benchmark for people. And I think that we've held people to that suitability level. I think when you start to get into the arena of union activity and union grievances within their company, I think we would be overstepping our bounds to get in the middle of that. That's something that needs to be resolved between the union and the company, or those looking to unionize in the company. And I don't necessarily think that just because you have a case in front of DLR or any other agency in Massachusetts, then that should preclude us by saying that you don't know how to run a business. Unions have the right to grievance, to grieve their what they think is wrong. They have the right to unionize. There's a lot of activity that surrounds that really has nothing to do with this commission or the licensing. So My suggestion is that we save this for a policy discussion. If there's a condition that Commissioner Title wishes to put on this licensee, then that's the motion that we should consider. Other than that, I'm not going to consider any type of policy discussion within a licensing meeting, because I think that also starts a precedent that we're just going to start bringing up policy issues during inappropriate times. So for me, I understand the concerns. I certainly, I support people who are part of unions. I think that people have the right to unionize, but at the same time, I really think we need to kind of pay attention to what's going on. And I personally don't have all of the facts that are going on with this case. So I'm not going to even try to infer that I know what's going on in front of that other agency or what the outcome could be.
Thank you, Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner McBride, anything you wish to add? Sorry to put you on the spot. If you.
I think that we need to take complaints by employees very seriously. My concern is that I don't know that we have the competency to make a decision prior to the agency with subject matter jurisdiction making a decision. So that leads me to think that anything that we do with regard to this certainly needs to be, it needs to hinge on that sort of component of it. I'm right now, I do feel like a little bit on the spot because I'm just right now kind of looking through our regulations to refresh my memory on kind of like what the analogy would be here. As Commissioner Title raised. So I'm feeling like a little bit like I'm trying to kind of put thoughts together here and feeling a little flat-footed.
Would you like us to take a short recess?
Sure. I mean, like, I would appreciate a couple of minutes, although I'm not sure that, this is something that, I don't know that 5 minutes is really gonna, make it much of a difference here.
Well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So I guess the question is whether, I guess I wanted to ask Commissioner Title, is the question whether we put a condition on this license or is it more than that?
Thank you. I am not pushing for any particular outcome. I just think it needs to be addressed. But probably if I had to choose right now with which condition, what makes the most sense, yes, I would suggest that we put a condition that at a minimum, we require disclosure of the outcome of this complaint.
So let me do the following, if I could, and please speak up, any commissioner, if you're not comfortable with what I'm proposing. But I agree with Commissioner Flanagan with respect to policy discussions, and I do think this probably does warrant a policy discussion, and I will commit to find the appropriate time in a future agenda to conduct that policy discussion, but I don't believe we should do it now. I agree with Commissioner Flanagan on that. My request, Commissioner Title, is please make a motion. What's on the table right now is the staff recommendation to approve this license and the condition that you requested with respect to their diversity plan. And so I would ask you to make a motion to add an additional condition to the one that you've already mentioned. And then I'd like to take a vote on that, if that's okay with everybody.
Okay with me?
Okay, then would you please make such a motion?
Sure. And I would just like to make clear that I'm not attempting to initiate a policy discussion. I didn't create the situation. It's just in front of me.
No, I don't think there was any accusation, but I think Commissioner Flanagan, as I said, I agree with her, that let's make sure we don't accidentally get into a policy conversation here. But and the motion, I'm sorry, the motion I'd ask you to make is to add an additional condition to the condition that's already been proposed to be attached to this license. And then we'll take based upon the outcome of this vote, we'll vote on the license with one or two conditions.
Okay. So I would like to add a condition to require the applicant to disclose the outcome of the complaint currently in front of the Department of Labor Relations and a plan to comply with any requirements under that decision as applicable.
Okay, thank you. Could I have a second to that motion, please? I'm not gonna put it. Thank you, Commissioner McBride. So let the record show that Commissioner Tuttle made the motion, seconded by Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Mr. Chairman, could you state the motion one more time, please?
Yeah, please. Actually, I'm going to defer to Commissioner Tuttle to do so. I'm sorry, Commissioner Tuttle.
Sure. Sorry, did anybody, or I'll ask you, Mr. Chairman, did anybody want a break before we make the motion?
I don't know. Commissioner McBride, are you comfortable, or would you like us to take a short recess?
I'd like a short recess to just think through this a little bit.
As those of you that know me know that I will never say no to a recess. How long would you like, Commissioner McBride?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, so we will reconvene. I'd like a motion to take a recess and reconvene at 12:35. Could I have such a motion, please? I'm sorry, who's that? Commissioner Tuttle, you made that motion?
Yeah.
Commissioner, can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show Commissioner Tuttle made the motion to recess for 10 minutes. Commissioner McBride seconded the motion. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride?
Aye.
Commissioner Tuttle?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the Commission unanimously agreed to take a recess until 12:35 p.m. Thank you. We are in recess.